What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology, the Titans action spawning in the bottom of the map in the blue color, playing as Odin from the PXX clan. His name is themista1. Well, technically it would be themista2 because themista1 is actually Themistocles, if I don't know how to say it. Themistocles, maybe. Is that how you say the name? I've probably got it wrong, but you know what I'm talking about. So technically this is themista2. His opponent today in the red color, currently up in this series 2-1, playing as Zeus. His name is Brickhead. I'm surprised to see Brickhead playing Zeus so valiantly and so headstrong here in this series, given his affinity with Thor and how much he enjoys playing Thor and how well he plays Thor. I'm surprised to see him give that all up in favor of joining the dark side with Zeus here. We'll have to wait and see how it's all going to go. But right now, he's opening up with 5 villagers on food, 2 villagers coming over to wood, 2 villagers over onto gold, most likely here. He has found himself some zebra right in front of his base and some giraffe over here as well to boot. But he will be needing 3 granaries here, most likely in this early game, is my initial contention here with what is happening. So a 3rd villager on wood would not go astray. Meanwhile, themista, he is casting Great Hunt on both of these hippopotamus. He gets himself a bunch more of these goats, and he has done a decent job scouting thus far, finding himself some gazelle over here, some elephant in front of his base, some giraffe there as well. Going to be in a very, very nice position. Apparently, I have forgotten the predictions. Predictions are the community really enjoys their betting. So let's set that up really quickly here with a minute betting time, so you guys can get your gambling addiction out of the way. For everyone struggling with gambling, it's much more fun to gamble with Boit points than anything else. So definitely come along and watch a game live on Twitch, and you can spend all your points betting away on whichever player you think is going to win, and therefore get the rush of many points coming to yourself, or also get the dread of having lost your entire fortune betting on the underdog. We'll have to see how the game's going to go. We have actually seen this matchup once already in this tournament, very recently actually. The game was Antos against... I'm beginning to forget everything here. Antos... my brain is actually not working whatsoever here. Why don't I remember? Antos versus Odin King. Of course it's Odin King. I've had a day. Don't at me. I've had a day. It's fine. And Antos went for Hermes here and did Centaur+Hoplite, and it was really tough for Odin King to stay alive here with the Odin, just because the Centaur were all over the place doing so much stuff. We'll see what's going to happen, because Hermes is on the way here for Brickhead, being such an open map, so difficult to kind of wall up. I say it's difficult to wall up, but if you take a look at the map here, 1 wall, 2 wall, 3 wall, 4, and you're basically safe here in this game, as the Katoskopos going to be retreating away from here, as we see the villagers happily eating that elephant on the front. More Hersa going to be coming out of this position as well, and we'll see how things are going to eventuate. As how many villagers on wood right now? We've got 6 villagers only for Brickhead on wood. That's a little bit less than we might expect to have on wood here. You can see that Brickhead's only got himself 300 wood at the front at the start here, which isn't going to be enough to get himself Sylvan Lore. It's not going to be enough to get himself Sylvan Lore and an Odysseus, excuse me. But he's going to be opting for the Centaur here in an attempt to also get the Odysseus out straight away, but he can't afford that one just yet, as the Valkyrie going to be moving across the map, looking to get immediately bolted here, as is tradition for the Valkyrie, as it does pop through here. I mean, Brickhead could also try and just do something else, but he decides to send the wrath of Zeus down from the heavens to erase that poor Valkyrie's hopes and dreams as she fades into the dust, into the sand of this tropical mirage. As Brickhead starting to move across the map here, we see the Hearser coming out, raiding cavalry. Raiding cavalry Hearser, potentially raiding cavalry as well, as the Mister asks for just a little bit of time here, and yes, that's completely fine. Always up for the pauses. Make sure everyone is in a good position here to do whatever they need to do. But the problem here is with this sort of Hermes here that Brickhead is doing, is that he doesn't have the speed on the Centaur, and he's not going to have the speed on the Centaur for quite some time. Getting out the military academy first, as he's getting pushed back here. You see the Centaur coming back in, trying to get involved, trying to take some damage down on the raiding cavalry here. As Odysseus able to take out the Hearser on this position, does manage to snipe one. Going to be picking off the raiding cavalry as well, as the Mister is not holding on to this position that well at all, as the Centaur coming through, going to be able to take down the Ulfsark as well. Nice play there. Centaur need to keep themselves very, very socially distanced from those Hearser. They're a very scary unit with a lot of problems that he has to deal with, as now the Mister going to be retreating back yet again. Forest Fire getting dropped down onto this position as the units have to retreat back ever so slightly. We will be seeing the Katoskopos getting sniped down here as the Jason goes down as well. Brickhead trying to get his wood up to the amount that he needs to get himself Sylvan Law, and now he can research it as he's trying to retreat back. The Hearser pushing through here as one more gets taken down. That Odysseus has done so much damage here to Brickhead's army, for Brickhead, to the Mister's army here, as the Centaur still searching around. You've got to send those raiding cavalry after the Centaur. We'll see if he's going to be able to catch them out before Sylvan Law comes in. They're moving through, getting a couple of hits off. Not going to be quite enough to get to allow those Hearser in to actually do anything as the Centaur get back here. Odysseus going to get caught out. We see Hippocon+Hoplites here for Brickhead is a surprise. Where did he put that up? He is just going Hippocon+Hoplite in this situation. Normally we just see pure Hoplite here, but the Hippocon coming out as well for some reason, as the Mister still got plenty of units here. He's gotten a lot of damage onto those Centaur. All he has to do is basically kill them without too many losses, and it's completely fine. But the Mister now going to be retreating back into his base. He's got plenty of goats left in his home base. We see some wall segments coming up around the towers. Walls coming up over here as well. And we'll see how things are gonna go. If you can tries to get these walls up. There is a throw and axeman over here, and Brickhead very smartly gonna be sniping that one down. This is exactly what these Centaur are gonna be able to do for the entirety of this game. Cause so many problems. As we see some raiding cavalry moving across the map. He can be looking I would say normally in the dark, but the Ravens are here, and he will be able to find whatever he needs to attack at this point, as the Centaur trying to take down some units here that are being retreated away. Longhouse just about to fall as well, as the raiding cavalry does end up getting taken down. Watchtowers now up for the Mister here, as he's going to be attempting to hold as the Longhouse gets taken out. And I imagine the Mister's plan here has to be some sort of get to the heroic age here. But he's in a weird position, as his gold is going to be getting expired very, very shortly. And one of the traits, generally speaking, of Tropical Mirage is all forward gold mines. And that's not the case here in this map at all. There is a back gold mine, but the Mister and Brickhead do not know about it. As we see the raiding cavalry searching around the map, looking for everything that they need to find. And Brickhead retreats back into this position. We will be seeing the wall getting broken down over here as well, as a wall on the back over here getting thrown up. Crenellations coming down for the Mister as well. That is a decent idea, because one, it hits the Centaur, so they can't just run into his base for free. But two, it's going to get bonus damage done onto Hippocon that come close to his base as well. As the units now moving down to the bottom side of the map, looking to get some sort of a wall on this position as well. As the raiding cavalry now moving around, looking for something else to kill to boot here. As Brickhead coming back up to the top here. Centaur moving around here as well. Not really doing anything more at this point. Brickhead's just taking the foot off the pedal. He might be wanting... He did this last game, or in the game against themista that he lost, and that one win on Sheltered Pass for themista, he went for this second town center, and that Brickhead went for the second town center, and that allowed themista to get a decent heroic gauge, and he was able to find an advantage where that's concerned. The problem here, though, is that themista doesn't know he's got that back gold mine. He will be sending the dwarves over to this gold mine over here for the time being, as Brickhead is just sitting back, and this is all kind of preemptive here for Brickhead. Brickhead just says, I'm going to pull back and I'm going to make sure that I don't lose this town center. And we do see that themista does end up scouting that back gold mine for the time being. He actually sent the dwarves over onto the goats here for the time being, and he will be able to move over and grab this gold very, very shortly. So luckily gets that scouting done here, as a raiding cavalry sitting on this position as well. Going to see what he can do here, but he will get himself that heroic gauge. Will it be enough or not is the big question. As the Hursa retreating back, more walls coming up around here. I love this aggressive walling for themista to try and keep himself safe here. The score difference in this game, you have to ignore it to some degree, because right now you see there's 4 Centaur out. The kill-loss ratio is quite significantly stacked into Brickhead's favor. It's not really a true estimate of the actual position that both of these players are in here. As the hill fort coming down on this position to kind of defend this, he finds the zebra over here that he can eat now that his food is running out. He will be able to start going into Jarls or Huskal here if he so chooses. As the wall's continuing to come up on this position, we see the Centaur coming through here. Will he be able to get a villager kill? Yes, he will. Centaur pushing over here to take down the villagers that are on the wood over here. Does manage to get the villager kill, as well as making it tough for the tower. Doesn't get the villager kill there, as the frost giant is over here, and he's going to be able to freeze one of those Centaur and start taking that one out, as we see the raiders coming through here as well. Picks off one Centaur, going after another Centaur, as they're going to be able to flee the scene here. So 2 Centaur picks there. Nice play as the hill fort is up. The units sitting over here breaking down the wall, as Brickhead's now seeing 106 of 130 population, going up to 3 town centers here, as he's trying to figure out how to motor ahead in this game, stay alive. But Brickhead still doesn't know that there's a gold mine over here, and he will be aware of that fact basically now that he sees the hill fort up on that position. But themista here getting closer and closer to 115 population. He's about to be running out of the hunt here as well. He's got a little bit of hunt left in his main base, so he can probably think about going mythic gauge here. He doesn't necessarily have to go Ragnarok. I don't think that Ragnarok would be the best of ideas, even with there being 6 Centaur here. But like an early tier here would be an absolute godsend, as themista pushes forward into this position. He's probably going to have to click Frost here if he wants to do anything. As he does click the Frost, I imagine Ceasefire gets clicked here. Wait, how did that Jason not get frozen? As we see some walls getting thrown up by themista, trying to surround these units as best as he possibly can. And we do indeed see Ceasefire, as the units are going to try and get themselves these walls set up. I thought potentially this attack, or this ceasefire, or sorry, this frost here to force the ceasefire was for grabbing this town center. But if he can surround the entirety of these units, that's going to be absolutely huge. He needs to get all the walls up as fast as he can. The units can actually retreat through here at this point and definitely find their way out through the main base, but that might be more risky than otherwise. As the wall's finishing up, he hasn't quite finished them. He needs to get this wall up over here, as the army, not sure what... Wait, he frosted the elephant. So the walls aren't finished over here. Looks like Brickhead isn't aware just yet. He's going to be moving his units back up into this position. He's got 145 of 145 population. As themista here ready to take this fight. His army is looking awfully small compared to Brickhead's. As the units pushing forward, throwing axemen, positioning themselves in the back, not quite targeting the right units just yet. He needs to be on those hoplites here. As the Frost Giant gets sniped down, Herser trying to get onto the back of those Centaur here. No real effective micro from Brickhead to keep his Centaur alive. As the Herser kind of sitting at the front, taking everything else out. But it does look like the Mister has managed to win this fight fairly convincingly after all is said and done. And it looks like Brickhead will have to go back to the chopping board here and kind of figure out what to do next after losing that fight incredibly decisively there. In all honesty, he's getting a couple more kills over on this position before he's going to completely retreat back. But yeah, the Mister sitting, nice population here in the bank. He's still sitting on the one town center. Brickhead's got nearly double the villages that the Mister has in this game, which might be just too much for the Mister to overcome pushing forward here. Because double the villages means losing an entire army doesn't really matter, and the army is just going to get refunded up the wazoo. As we do see the Raven over here is scouting around over there, so potentially the Mister can start hitting some raids here. We see a market coming up at this point for the Mister as farms coming down in the main base, but just doesn't have the resources here to really do all too much. The gold mine is about to expire here as well, as Brickhead pushing back in, still wanting to cause some fights here. We see some Frost Giants coming in as the walls need to get broken down over here as the units retreat back onto this position here as well. As the Frost Giants come through, going to immediately target down those Centaur here if he can, trying to get a cheeky building block in for the Mister there, but he doesn't manage to get that one as Brickhead just retreats back. Going to be sitting on this position, getting little bits of chip damage over and over again as Brickhead is trying to make his way up to the next stage, getting himself bow saw, shaft mine to boot here. As the Frost Giant comes in, going to be freezing the Centaur here as well. Brickhead retreats back even more. And the game continues along here, ladies and gentlemen. Can Brickhead manage to win these fights moving forward, even with the suboptimal army against those Huskar, the Jarls, the throwing axe? It's a very, very strong army for the Mister, for Norse, and for Odin in particular. Because you do have to remember that Odin gets this bonus here of an extra 27 hit points on his Ulf Jarls and also an extra 23 hit points on his Huskars, which actually is a really, really big deal. As units started to take the fight on this position, the throwing axeman doing tons of damage here as well. But it looks like Brickhead's got the army here that he needs to fight this one. We do see Tyr on the way, but Dionysus coming through for Brickhead. Surprised to see the Dionysus. It does make a little bit of sense here because the underworld, while it might be useful, he doesn't really need it that much. We do see a town center now coming up for the Mister now that he's clicked up to the second, up to the mythic age here. Winter Harvest as well coming through. His rhyme coming through. He's trying to spend all that favor. I'm a bit surprised he's done that. Seeing as he's clicking up through tier, could go for like mass Fenris wolves here, which could be really, really difficult for Zeus to deal with, especially as Brickhead's not in the mythic age. As we see the units getting some good damage done. Toxotes, for some reason, targeting down a Raven here, but the Toxotes getting some good damage done from the far as the Frost Giant does end up falling. There's the heroic age for Brickhead as the Mister just about to click up or just about to hit through tier. Going to be using that one straight away, you'd have to assume, as Fimbulwinter gets clicked. The Mister still sitting at full population here, but he does not have any real upgrades here. He doesn't have that medium or that heavy infantry that he had in that first or second game here. As we see the Hydra coming through, but this is going to be a really big help here for the Mister as the Fimbulwinter Wolves come through, and they're going to start taking down these Toxotes on the back and helping the Mister out heaps here. Meanwhile, Fimbulwinter Wolves coming over here, and in the main base, getting a lot of damage done onto Brickhead's economy, as Brickhead's still trying to take these fights, but he doesn't have any resources now to continue, as he's got no real gold income. As we see a bronze getting dropped down here, the Mister drops down to 89, 90 resources. He's still mining this gold mine over here, but he's running out of resources as the Hydra comes through, start getting some damage done. But the Heracles is here. The Odysseus is here as well. The Frost Giant doesn't even have a special ability through just yet, so he won't even be able to freeze the Hydra. And Brickhead is going to continue to motor through in this game, taking out the units. The Mister gets pushed back here as the Frost Giant just about gets finished off there. The units pushing in onto this position, going to be taking down those throw-on axemen as they pull back into the main base here. Lots of food in the bank, lots of wood in the bank, no gold in the bank right now for the Mister, and that's not the only problem. He's still down 2 town centers. It's 54 villages though for the Mister, so he's not that far behind in terms of villager count. You also have to remember there's a lot of dwarves here. Every 7 dwarves or so is worth an extra villager in terms of train time and in terms of like actual gather rate. The seven dwarves equals 8 gatherers kind of thing on gold. So it's still like a little bit closer than you might even think in terms of real resources as the Hydra comes through, going to attempt to take down some of these dwarves to get an extra head. Does he manage to get that head? Looks like he's still just on 2 heads there as the Frost Giant over here needs to get targeted down. The dwarves getting sniped very, very quickly over here as they're trying to attempt to retreat back. There's no gold anywhere else on the map here for the Mister to go and get here. Those throwing axemen are still doing some decent damage, but picking off all the dwarves is absolutely huge. The Mister can still sell food at this point. It's going to be worth a decent amount of gold at this point in the game as the Hydra now has 3 heads doing tons of damage onto these villages. Going to be able to get up to 4 heads really, really soon here as he's one-hitting villages. There's the 4th head, 77 HP for the Mister here as he does end up tapping out. Types GG's. Well played by Brickhead here. This was a really, really nice display of how to deal with a defensive Odin here as he's going for that Centaur aggression. I think the thing is that maybe the Mr. 1 here wasn't playing in that era. He's a relatively new kind of 1850 to 1900 level player. Very, very strong mechanically, really good army control. But he wasn't in that era where Hoplite Centaur was really becoming a thing. And I think the thing that happens with Hoplite Centaur is that the early game is significantly weaker than you might think as the Odin player, and you want to be putting that pressure on as opposed to playing defensively. And he just didn't really get anything done in the early game, and he took the pain instead for whatever reason here, and that ended up being a big factor for him, always being on the back foot in this game, not able to get anything done in reality here. But Brickhead plays it incredibly well, gets the dub, gets to move on to the next round. The Mister, not going to be the last we're going to be seeing him. He does get to have a participation in the Challengers League, and that's going to be incredibly exciting for him. Brickhead, on the other hand, he's got a really, really tough match coming up ahead of him, most likely in the bracket, for his chance to participate in Champions League, which is definitely going to be one of the things he wants to do. If you guys enjoyed this game, enjoyed this series, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTubes, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next game.